Hello and welcome to the What Women Want Today podcast. You might be asking yourself right about now, well, what do women want? I mean, we're pretty complex creatures, right? Well, I think we want it all, and I'm here to explore it with you. My name is Terry Kellums. I'm your host. Go grab your favorite beverage. I've already got my glass of wine, and let's get started. Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the podcast. Thank you for joining me this week. I'm so glad you're here. I'm glad to be here. Today I'm doing things a little differently. I have my daughter and grandson visiting from Kansas City, and my daughter had a couple of business meetings, so I gave her my office to use, and I am sitting in my closet, which may be the only quiet place in the house right now. On the podcast today, I am re-airing an IG Live I did with Teresa Reif. Teresa was on the podcast, episode 32, where we talked about choosing the role in your story and feminine movement with the S Factor. If you haven't listened to that episode, I will put a link in the show notes so you can check that out. Today's conversation is a follow-up, but a standalone conversation as well. I know you'll enjoy Teresa as much as I did. Teresa is such a delight and a joy. I enjoyed both of these conversations so much, I wanted to share them with you again today. You can find Teresa on Instagram at Being Reif, which is BeingReif, and her website is www.blissfulfemi.com. I will put both of those links in the show notes as well. If you haven't had a chance yet to give the show a rating and review, I hope you will consider taking a few moments today. It helps grow the show so I can bring more wonderful women like Teresa to the podcast. Okay, if you're ready, let's join today's episode. Hi.
Hi. Oh my God, I did it. I've never used this platform, so I was so nervous.
No worries. You know what? It's like every week it's just a crapshoot on whether or not you're going to get connected right away. And so today was a good day.
Right? I mean, some days you just get ghosted because they can't figure it out. Like,
No. I'm usually in contact with them in another way. But yeah, sometimes it's just, I don't know if it's Instagram. And then last week during the show, all of a sudden the voice just cut out at the very end. And we didn't get to finish because I always finish by playing my fun little game. So we didn't get to play. So you hopefully will get to play this with me today. This will be at the very end.
Let's put out there that this is all going to go wonderfully. So
all going to go great. I have been on vacation. The last time you and I talked, we had both been traveling, and I told you I was going to go to Hawaii, but we didn't get to go.
Oh, with COVID, did things shift or?
Yeah, they just said that they were having an increase in cases, and they didn't say you couldn't come, but, you know, I said to my husband, our first trip to Hawaii, I don't really want this to be like the memory, you know?
Yeah, no, you don't need to deal with that. Hawaii's amazing. It'll still be there.
It'll still be there. So Happiness is my day job, joined us. So she always joins in every week. So hello, Happiness. I'm glad you're here today.
Hello.
I will don't mean to interrupt you, but sometimes when people jump in, I will try to, just quick acknowledge and make sure that everybody knows that you can push the little question bubble if you want to ask Teresa a question or myself. It makes it stand out over to the side a little bit so that we can see them. If you want to share it, use that little arrow all the way to the right. Share it with somebody else you think might be interested in the conversation today. Did you get a chance to listen to our episode yet, Teresa?
You know what? I didn't. And then I realized my brother was like, oh, I started listening to your episode. And I was like, oh my God, I don't even remember what we talked about. It'll be a happy surprise.
It was, I have such good conversations with people. I enjoy doing this so much. But yes, sometimes there's quite a pause between the time we first record and the time that it airs. So I always take a listen again and try to capture some little quotes I can put out there on social media or whatever. But it was a good episode. So thank you again for joining me this week.
For sure.
So how is the San Francisco Bay Area treating Teresa today?
Oh, it's wonderful. Yeah, no, we have kind of good air quality today, I think. So that's always a blessing, and good weather. So we're all good. Now,
do you guys have like 4 total seasons, would you say?
No. No,
No.
we have well, we have a fire season now, so you have to add that, and then
Oh,
right. So that's air quality being, we've got so many fires in this stretch of time that there's just, October is kind of like sometimes its own lockdown. And last year during COVID, we were all kind of laughing because, we're dealing with this, and then October the fires came, and we all woke up one day and everything was orange. Like like it was this dark, scary orange. And I'm like, okay, that's it. That's enough. That's enough.
oh gosh.
But yeah, so
You know,
we really just have rain and then heat. We don't have snow or anything like that. So
lots of sunshine.
lots of sunshine. Yeah.
You know what, you brought up COVID, and I was talking to a friend of mine today, and I was saying that I feel like with COVID, like you could probably, if you just had 2 camps to put people in, and I want you to weigh in on this because you talk to women a lot about purpose as well as I do. But I feel like during COVID, like a couple of camps emerged. Like there was the camp that sort of like didn't really know how to deal with the stress of the lockdown. And I'm not judging. I'm kind of just making light of it a little bit here. And I know it's not something to be made light of, but they sort of didn't know how to deal with it. So they, I heard about the COVID-15. They joke about the freshman 15 when you go off to college, but I heard about the COVID-15, and I heard about, people who indulged in their favorite alcoholic beverage a little more often than normal. What else? Like Netflix binging, that whole, I don't know what to do with myself, so I'm just going to give in to all the things that I think will make me feel good camp.
Yep.
And then the camp where it was like, let me discover some things about myself. And I don't know, what do you think about that? Like,
it is true. I mean, I've gone through I think we talked about it a little bit, like going through a life-changing event that when you go through something that all the rules change, all the things that you were holding up in the air suddenly fall to the floor.
right.
The gift of it is you get to choose what you pick up, right?
Yeah,
And
I love that.
Yeah, and I think that, a lot of people that weren't ready for it, because I'd already gone through an event like that, as soon as it came, I said, what are my new rules? What are the parameters? How do we have fun in here? How do we make this time matter? How do we make a difference? I mean, I became a Spectre teacher in COVID.
Yeah.
So you don't want to look back on time and just see it that it had just passed. And so if you'd never been through something like that where like time was going to drag on you and you didn't have control, you might find yourself putting on the 15 pounds. And I would say that they don't really, I didn't feel, yes, a lot of them fell in one or the other, but I think some people found their stopping point that I can only eat so many potato chips and I can only drink so much, right?
Yeah.
And had this beautiful opportunity to find themselves. I mean, they call it the Great Resignation, right? Because all these people, and that part excited me. I was like, all these people are about to figure out what's important in their life. They're going to have a dividing line, and you can only do that in a pressure situation where all the rules turn upside down. So it is exciting to me, aside from what COVID was, of course.
Right, exactly.
But for the people that were mostly waiting,
You know what I sort of discovered, and it's kind of silly, but it's good as well. I discovered that, I worked in the corporate world for so many years. I had kids real young. I, did all the things that women do. I had babies. I had teenagers. I worked jobs. I, struggled to keep a household running smoothly and all that. And I never, I don't think I ever really acknowledged that all of that stuff is just, it's so overwhelming sometimes for women. But I think I had this let's just trudge through this, let's just trudge through it. And I'm not sure that I ever fully embraced one part of it or acknowledged that one part of it was more meaningful than another. So COVID for me was like, let me just stop and do some simple things now. Some simple things that I didn't really have time to do because I had twins. I didn't mention that in my little rant there, but when you have twins, you are so busy just trying to get everybody moving through their day. It's all about routines and such. And one of the things I've discovered during COVID is there's some really simple things that bring me so much pleasure and so much joy. And it's like, gardening, and it's baking homemade pizza crust. And gosh, there was a third one I was talking to my friend about this morning, and I just lost it. It just flew right out of my head. But, just simple things like that. It's like, I wonder how many of us have, picked up something from COVID, like the silver lining, and has made it part of your life now.
No, there's tons of it. And I think for me, I got the positive feedback from my kids of when they went back to school, they didn't realize that other than COVID as itself, as an illness, but the experience of being in lockdown, they didn't realize that was a bad thing. So they didn't see it as that until they got to school and heard other kids talking. My eldest taught himself how to play the guitar. The kids were always tooling around outside. They didn't experience it as anything to fear because we didn't create that in the house. So I gave myself a little pat on the shoulder for that. But
good job.
Right, good job. But we as kids are coming out, as people are coming out, you're really seeing what their experience was. And like you said, it's not judgment. It's just look at it for what it is and where you can go from there. Yeah.
Something you said. What did you say in the podcast that when I was reviewing it, I wanted to make sure that we talked about it. You were talking about some health issues that we didn't really explore too much, and you were sharing that you had some difficulties with your thyroid. I know a lot of women in midlife start to struggle with thyroid. So how did you know something was wrong with your thyroid? I've been starting to get into that realm myself, so I'm just curious about your path with it.
Absolutely. Actually, mine hit me pretty early, and I wasn't aware. I got mono in college, and I think it wiped me out. So I had, hypothyroid, and then undiagnosed Hashimoto's pretty much all through my 20s, right? And so just, and then combining that, I was using my adrenals as my energy source, right? I used fear to get things done. And so you find all that, and basically it didn't take much to just kind of knock me over as far as I was always on the search for more energy. And then I started working with food and, of course exercise, but really I tapped into medical medium and,
I love him.
And I will say for me, I've been following him for about 4 years. And I think the only advice I can give to anybody doing it is if you're making yourself a nervous wreck trying to follow everything, you're missing the plot, right? Like it's really about adding in these more fruits and more of these healthy foods, put the celery juice in, whatever, as an addition to, and let those things that are not healthy fall away. I'm on those Facebook groups all the time, and you hear people just like so tight, right, about it. And I'm like, no, calm down, because you're freaking yourself out, which is really going against the whole thing.
I love that you said that, because my husband, I think he's finally starting to get the clue that he needs to change some things about his lifestyle. He's always been super thin, and he just turned 50 this year. He gets to join the 50 club this year, and he's noticed that he's got a little tummy going on now, and he's noticing that his metabolism has slowed down a little bit. And he was saying something to me the other day about well, what do I got to do? What kind of diet? He's just kind of like, and I go, nobody succeeds like that. All you need to do is you need to say, let's see, hold on there, happiness. Let me finish my thought, because I am like airheaded today. But all you need to do is replace, right? So he eats 2 meals a day out of a drive-through window, 5 days a week. I said, so instead of saying, I'm not going to eat fast food anymore, say, 3 days a week, I'm going to start bringing something from home, eating breakfast at home before I leave work for the day, that kind of thing. So I'm totally on board with you. Let me read Happiness' comment here. I feel like this is an important time for us to look after ourselves, dealing with loneliness, but also focusing on the positives, adjusting to full-time virtual work life, but also enjoying more time on exercise and good sleep. Oh my gosh, yes, good sleep is so important.
It really, that's one of the things I gained in COVID. I started getting myself to bed by 10. And before I would use that time, my kids are younger, so the nighttime is the only time everybody's sleeping and I get time to myself.
Right.
So I up until like midnight or later. And the hours between 10 and 2, just commit to those, right? And I think, I don't know all the science behind it, but apparently those, and I've experienced it myself, are like good hours to be sleeping. And it shifted a lot for me.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, I struggle with sleep. It's like I had insomnia for 10 years and I went through a hypnosis program and it helped a lot deal with those issues that were causing me not to sleep. But now I feel like I'm taking on some new issues that I'm not quite ready to talk about yet. It'll happen in the future, but it does. Like any time anything is externally, like I feel like it's kind of not something I have total I don't want to say control because that doesn't sound like what I really want to say. When it feels like I don't have any input into the outcome of it, then it causes me to not be able to sleep. So that I'm just going to leave that at that for now.
Tony Robbins' quote on that is, your happiness is directly proportional to the amount of uncertainty that you can comfortably put into your life.
I love that. And if you could send me that,
yeah.
I would really, I love that. I need to put that close to me.
You're like, that was long. You need to write that down.
Yeah, I can't remember all that. You know what? I also heard you talk today when I was listening to the podcast again about how when you're in your feminine, you get angry.
Yes, that's the emotion that really shows up for me. And I think it's common, especially with women that have been, moms and or just the feminine in general isn't allowed so much to get angry generally. And so when you get into feminine movement work, it's about what your body needs to express and letting your mind fall away, right? So it's body-led movement, and that doesn't care what anybody thinks about it, right? So what comes out of me is like, like I just and I don't know if it'll eclipse at some point, or if that's really kind of a signature of how my body likes to move. You don't really know. That's kind of how the feminine movement journey works. Sometimes it's really who you are at your core, and sometimes it's just something that really needs to pass through.
Wow. Yeah. And so this is what you do at your retreats?
Yeah. We, I'm an S Factor teacher, and feminine movement is this immersion, right? So it's really getting women to let all the what looks sexy, what they think will be cute or whatever, and step outside of that and become selfish of what feels good. And we slow down the movement quite a bit, and get them, and actually slow down the amount of movement. Sometimes we put them down on the floor and, make them because, you want to make it kind of big and go all over the place. But it could be as simple as embodiment. When you really get into it, could be as simple as really in my heart, how do I want to be touched, right? That simple movement, the honesty of it. So when you start doing this as a practice, it gives your body the skill of allowing emotion to come in and go out, right? And our movements now, they get a little trapped.
So when they go to your retreat, not only do they experience it for the first time, oftentimes probably, but they go home with this new skill that they can do.
Yeah, it's giving them a practice that they can bring with them, and it's not about pleasing anyone else. The husbands are generally happy because they can see that it brings out their authenticity, it brings out their happiness, and there's a peace that comes with doing this work that, and honestly, you look more beautiful because all of your considerations, all of your stuff that kind of tightens your face and does all these things have a path to melt off of you. And we, at our core, when we're in our body, it's universally beautiful. It doesn't matter what it's like. It doesn't matter what your body looks like. When you're doing those movements that are uniquely you, is why I love the work, because when these women really come, like who they really are, come out. It's amazing. Like I'm like crying just thinking about it.
Oh, it sounds so fascinating. So how does someone find out about how they can like join one of your retreats or something? Is your website any further along than last time we talked?
I have my funnel up, which is on I have my new funnel up, which is for a program called the Being Path, but also just booking with me on my just like a discovery call with me. And I travel for like I could be a part of a retreat, like I can come, that's or whatever, or doing classes. I'm doing retreats because the classes I want to be I don't really enjoy the virtual because I like to be really in it. And it's such a beautiful experience, and and the immersion experience is powerful because S Factor offers weekly classes, but immersion really dumps you into it and gives your body time to feel safe and to start to assert herself. So I travel and I do retreats. Yeah.
So if somebody listening says, oh my gosh, I've got this group of women that I meet with regularly, this sounds like wonderful, what would be the best way for them to get a hold of you?
Just you can, through the Instagram, just message me, and that's probably the easiest way to start there. Just message through my Being Reif.
I know this whole funnel and website thing, it's like the bane of my existence right now. I'm so frustrated with it. Yeah. I just have to laugh because it's like, okay, how could I like be this intelligent woman that I am and, doing all the other things that I'm doing? I mean, I figured out podcasting. I can't figure out my website. I don't know.
I know. Well, and I mean, I just got my new site up, and I think the whole balance is you don't want it to be anything you're selling. It's really, you're just trying to put what is authentically you out on the page in a way that someone can understand it. And so you're always kind of like toggling back and forth of that. And then you get there, right? Like I feel really good about where my program, I just put it out. But it was a journey.
Yeah, it is. And I, like I said, I've been on vacation, and I set that as one of my goals to, try to, you know how it is when you come back from vacation, like it takes you days to recover from being on vacation. So yeah, it's on my bucket list, but
The other thing I wanted to make sure that any woman that is considering, or women that are intrigued by it but maybe think it doesn't apply to them, is just to say, like, my journey into it, every woman kind of gets into that room of the S Factor room with different considerations, different things that make them want to run out. For me, it was my body image issues and being afraid to be seen. Some women don't feel safe with other women. There's all sorts of stories that happen, and the cool thing about S Factor is it creates sisterhood. It strengthens sisterhood. So I say to any woman, I invite that you come in honoring your body. If your body says, I need to be completely covered and I'm going to stand in the corner and that's all it is, right? Yeah. And so there's a space for every woman with every thought and fear to be able to come and really see what's possible for them.
Well, you know what, Teresa, having a women's retreat is like my big, hairy, audacious goal. I don't know if you've ever heard of a big, hairy, audacious goal, but I have this vision in my head, and it's not complete yet, but you know what, now you will be part of that vision for sure. Yeah. I need to experience this for sure.
Yeah, they're so fun. I can't wait. This is my wheelhouse. I love retreats. They're fantastic.
Oh, I know. And just to be around another, just like a group of women who are so like-minded and so invested in their growth, like it's just an experience that every woman should be able to be a part of. I get so excited about it. All right, it's time for our game.
Okay.
My dear. Here we go. So I haven't come across really hard questions, but you never know. I'm shuffling the deck as we speak.
I don't even know what this is that's coming at me right now.
Okay. Are we ready?
Yeah.
So I'll throw it to you and then I'll answer when you're done.
Okay.
Oh, this is a good one. Okay. Who is the best female role model in your life?
Oh my God, I'm all about the feminine. How do I pick one?
I know, right? This will be tough.
I mean, you want to say your mother first, but I think I want to say something relatable. For me, oh, this is so hard. Why is this my question?
Okay, I'm going to give you a minute because I want to read Happiness's comment here while you think about that,
Yeah,
okay? So she is saying, thank you for another invigorating session. How I wish I could do this. Moving our body in a mindful way is different than exercising. So nice. Someday I wish you visit, I think, the Philippines and do these sessions in Boracay Island. Oh, I am all about that, Teresa. I don't know about you.
Right?
Is this like a body positive movement? I want to be a part of this. Oh, that's so awesome.
Oh, yeah, it is. It's body positive by default. It's a spiritual journey. It's into you. It's into what you like, what is uniquely you, and being able to express that out into the world in a way that feels. That's it.
All right. Did you come up with your?
I did. I have to pick one. I'm such a squirrel. Like I want to pick up everything. But I'm gonna say Lizzo because I didn't have a lot of female role models that were in like different looking. And when she showed up with that, CD cover where she's bare ass and beautiful and big, that just really upset my childhood apple cart, right? I don't know what to do with that. And so having more of that, of just people fully expressing themselves as they are, with no apology, what we need.
Yeah. You know what? I don't really think I have one. I'm going to be really honest. Like there are a lot of women in my life that I pick pieces of, and I think that's probably what you would say too. You get a little bit from this woman, a little bit from this woman. I would say the women who honor marriage are huge up there on my list because, well, for a lot of reasons. I think women who are out there in this space that we're both in, making a way for themselves because, and I'll use the podcast world as an example of something that's happened recently. All the stars are jumping into podcasting now, and the big businesses are jumping into podcasting. And it makes it really tough for the little guy or the little woman to, sort of get out there and put yourself out there. So any woman that's out there right now doing her thing, showing up every day in her business, competing against some big name, those are my role models. Every single day I see you out there hustling and working your business, and I'm so proud of every single woman out there that I see doing that. Those are my role models.
I love it.
Okay, question number 2.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah. Oh, nope, I already asked that one on the show, so I'm not going to do that one again. I should keep these separate. I should do that for sure. Dang it. Okay, this is a good one. What's the most creative excuse to get out of something that you didn't want to do?
Oh,
these are tough today.
Okay. You know what's funny is I actually have an answer for this, but I don't have a creative excuse. What I have is that at this point, at this stage, and who I am, I do something because I want to do it, and I don't do something because I don't want to do it. And I do not engage in any reason other than that. And we realize how many times we do come up with excuses. And for me, an excuse is an inauthenticity. At the end of the day, this is what I am, and if I want to be there, I'm there. And it's not, and in the most loving way. It's not a judgment on whoever. It's either I wanted to or I'm not, because I wanted to or I didn't, right? Like,
yeah.
I have opinions about this one, so that's my answer.
I love it, actually, and I'm going to piggyback off yours a little bit because we have these neighbors that sort of have given us an open invitation to Taco Tuesday night every Tuesday, and we bring something. I always contribute, but yesterday, neither my husband nor I really felt up to it. And he said, please reach out to them, let them know we're not going to come. And I said, yeah, I'll do that. So I did. I reached out to him, and he comes home yesterday afternoon, and he says, so what did you tell him? And I said, I simply just said, we're not going to make it.
Yeah.
You don't have to have an excuse.
You don't. You
just have to say, thank you for inviting us. We'll see you next Tuesday. We're not going to be able to make it today.
Yeah.
End of story.
It is the story. The minute you give something of an excuse, you give them something to measure, right? And then it becomes about that. And really, that has nothing to do with it.
Right. So, yeah, I like that. Teresa. All right, last one.
All right.
Ooh. What do you consider yourself an expert at?
An expert. I consider that there's areas I've reached mastery level, and my relationship with my husband is at mastery level. That the rules are different. It's not even, there's not a lot of peers. And I say that not being judgmental. I'm just saying that it's in such a space that when I speak about it, I realize that we're kind of making our own path at this point. There's not a book that's really guiding us in it.
Yeah, I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Gosh, I like the word that floats around out there a lot. What is your superpower? Because I think it's easier for us to say it in that way, and it feels a little more humble than saying I'm an expert. But I think I have mastered the craft of listening to what people say, but hearing what they're not saying.
Mm-hmm.
And that's part of being a podcast interviewer, and it's part of being a coach, and it's part of being a mom and a wife. It's there's always some underlying thing in there that's not being said is what they probably really want you to uncover for them, or to dive in, or care about enough to go just a little bit deeper with them on. So I'm going to say just an expert at picking up on people, their body language, the unspoken part of what they're saying. And, so yeah, I think that's it.
It's a great skill.
I think you've got a couple of friends on here.
Oh, do I?
Unleashing KB.
Oh, that's Carrie. Hi, Carrie. I can't really see comments, so I don't know.
I know. It gets tough because the comments just kind of keep going down, and sometimes I don't scroll them up because I'm so intent on listening to what you're saying. But I appreciate
scroll. It's a little funky.
Yeah. So I just want everybody to know I appreciate you joining me and Teresa today. Teresa, did you have any last things that you wanted to say today?
No, just I'm like you said, I'm honoring women that are out there putting this stuff out. So I'm honoring you. I appreciate being part of the show, and just what you're doing. You're right. You're speaking it out and doing the work. And so thank you.
Yeah. Hey, if you ever want to come back on and have some more chat time with me, just send me a quick message. I'll make it work.
Deal.
I enjoyed having you today. It was nice to see you again, Teresa.
You too.
Take care. Bye. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed today's conversation as much as I did. If you'd like to continue the conversation, come on over and join our private Facebook group, What Women Want Today. I'd love to hang out with you some more there. Any resources mentioned in today's episode will be in the show notes. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram at What Women Want Today Podcast, or visit my website at whatwomenwanttoday.com. Please remember to subscribe, download, and share. Leave me a review. It helps other amazing women find the show and become a member of our community. One last thing for you today. You are not alone. You are worthy of love and a fulfilled life. Now it's time to go after it.